Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Gwen Jacobsen and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 12, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. This week's edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press is dated November the 20th, 2020. And the first article is about an Arden landmark coming down. On Tuesday, November 18th, work began on the demolition of the grain elevator in Arden. A well-known landmark, the original structure was built in 1926 by Manitoba Pool Elevators, with two annexes added to it in 1952 and 1981, according to the Manitoba Historical Society. And more details will be published in a future edition about this landmark. Neepawa's sports heritage will not be forgotten. Neepawa's historic sports legacy has a brand new home. A facility known as the Neepawa Sports and Heritage Center has been established and will reside at 243 Hamilton Street, the former Neepawa Banner and Press office. The purpose of the center is to preserve and celebrate the region's sports history. The space will serve as a hall of fame, showcasing a wide array of notable documents, pictures, and memorabilia. The idea of Sports and Heritage Center was the brainchild of joint collaboration between Neepawa's Junior A Hockey Club and Ken and Christine Waddell, owners and operators of the Hamilton Street Emporium. Ken Waddell said there were a number of factors that came into play that inspired this action. He said there is a rich sports heritage in Neepawa and area, and it would be nice to recognize both past and future accomplishments. With the renovations at the Yellowhead Center, the display cases had to be taken out, so a number of those trophies will have a home at the Sports and Heritage Center. As for the early response within the community on the announcement, Waddell said it has been very good, with several people expressing positive support for the center. The Neepawa Sports and Heritage Center displays of trophies and memorabilia are currently being set up this month, with more items to be added as time goes by. The Hall of Fame will eventually be open to the public as soon as existing COVID-19 restrictions are lifted. The center will also be home to a number of other businesses, including the Neepawa Natives Junior A Hockey Club retail store and marketing office. The Hamilton Street Emporium, which has been at that location since the spring, will continue to operate, though current restrictions have it offering just online sales and curbside pickup will be available. The Emporium donates 10% of its donated item sales to the hockey club and 10% to the Neepawa Palliative Care. Neepawa business ticketed for not following COVID-19 rules. A well-known business in Neepawa was one of the first in the province to be fined for failing to comply with COVID-19 health restrictions. On November the 6th, the local McDonald's restaurant was ticketed for allegedly neglecting to take measures to ensure adequate physical distancing between customers. Good Life Fitness at Brandon Shoppers Mall was the other Westman-based business singled out, according to a health protection report issued by the Government of Manitoba. Both those businesses received fines of $5,000. A new COVID-19 case has been identified in Neepawa. The most recent confirmed case was at Neepawa Area Collegiate Institute between November the 2nd and 4th. Based on the public health investigation, this most recent exposure was assessed to be low risk to the school community. Contacts were advised to self-isolate and seek testing if symptoms develop. This is the 5th case of COVID-19 that has been confirmed within a Neepawa and area school in the last 3 weeks. Over the course of a recent 7-day period, Thursday, November 12th to the 18th, there have been 118 new COVID-19 cases reported within the Prairie Mountain Health region, making the total active cases 222. Of the 5 provincial health regions, Prairie Mountain currently has the lowest numbers of active cases. Winnipeg is first with 5,323, while Southern Health Santa Sud is second with 991. Within Prairie Mountain, Brandon has the most active cases as of Wednesday, November 18th, at the number of 82. Whitemud, meanwhile, which encompasses Neepawa and surrounding communities, has an active count of 21. A holiday tradition continues on. Cecil Pittman and Joan Enns were busy building a whole town on Tuesday, November the 17th. They were setting up the Christmas village that annually brightens up the window of the Town of Neepawa office on Hamilton Street. Among all the pandemic cancellations, at least there's one tradition that has continued. Feel free to observe that as you walk on the sidewalk by the Town of Neepawa office. Hero declared a winner. The polls have closed and the votes are in. Neepawa artist Brad Mummery has won first place for the Westman region and second overall in the Manitoba Rural Northern Juried Art Show. Hero, the piece Mummery submitted, finished with 2,315 votes. Over 8,000 members of the public voted, with the show featuring 56 artists from the Central, Eastman, Interlake, Northern, Parkland, and Westman areas. Entries included a wide range of media, including painting, drawing, sculptures, ceramics, photography, and more. The results were beyond my expectations, said Mummery. I couldn't have done it without the support from the Neepawa Banner and Press and all those who voted for me. Thank you. Along with us securing a second place overall ranking, Mummery walked away from the virtual show with a $100 prize. He is considering entering again in the future with his sights set on the top spot. The subject of Mummery's submission, Hero, is his uncle Mel. Mel was a fire chief at Minnedosa and had been responding to a barn fire near Clanwilliam. The barn and animals were unable to be saved, leaving Mel in a state of anguish. It was at that moment when Mel's son Bob, a photographer for the Minnedosa Tribune at the time, captured a shot of the scene. Mummery's piece is a reimagining of that photo with Bob's permission in his own artistic medium. The piece is a combination of scroll saw, wood burning, and airbrush techniques. The Manitoba Rural Northern Juried Art Show will remain available to the public online until January the 6th. Congratulations, Brad. Out of Helen's Kitchen by Helen Drysdale. This week it is called Wartime Cooking. As the men went off to war, everyone did their part, including the women who joined the Women's Army Corps, worked on the farms and in the factories producing war materials. During the war years, Canadians rationed food to help feed Britain and other allies, their own soldiers fighting overseas, and prisoners of war and refugees. More than half of all the flour used in Britain during the war was from Canada, as was much of their bacon, cheese, milk, and eggs. Anything that contained rubber was impossible to purchase, as rubber was needed for the armed forces. That meant no new car or bicycle tires, and elastic for your underwear was hard to come by. Foods such as sugar, tea, coffee, and meats were rationed and had to be purchased with coupons. Coupons were also required to purchase gasoline and alcohol. The housewives already knew how to make a little go a long way, but the Depression was not far behind them, and they were accustomed to making do and doing without. The pamphlet Wartime Canning and Cooking states Canadian men are on the march everywhere. So are Canadian women. Just as our soldiers, sailors, and airmen are changing their habits overnight, so are our homemakers adapting themselves to changes in the kitchen. Housewives were regularly reminded by governments and advertisers alike that food truly was a weapon of war, and the first defense was in the kitchen. Use your cook stove to cook Hitler's goose, one ad suggested. Their role was quickly recognized as valuable, and the term house soldiers was created to acknowledge their contribution in the war effort. To help with the rationing, the Wartime Prices and Trade Board was designed to regulate the war economy and establish rules to follow, such as only 1 cup of tea or coffee in restaurants, no refills. As well, restaurants were to have meatless Tuesdays and were to serve butter only on request and no more than 1 pat per person. The home economists and food companies jumped on board with recipe pamphlets and cookbooks to help housewives succeed on the home front. Over 200 wartime recipe cookbooks were published in that era. They were encouraged to use chicken fat to make cookies, reduce the amount of butter in recipes, or use shortening, lard, pan drippings, or margarine instead. It was suggested to serve the desserts warm, as warm foods taste sweeter, and use dried fruit in desserts to sweeten them. In addition to rationing, the housewives were called to plant victory gardens, preserve produce, collect fat and bones for ammunition production, and to eliminate any food waste. The government's War Savings Committee targeted the housewives with brochures on victory bonds. In Manitoba, an astonishing $79 million were purchased in victory bonds during the war years. That was a lot of money in those days. The war effort encompassed all Canadians, and women did their fair share and more, achieving and sacrificing a great deal for the cause of peace and freedom. However, for many, their sacrifice was greater than food, as they sacrificed their sons and husbands. With meat being rationed, Spam was found on most tables during the war years. Introduced in 1939, Spam was a processed meat made of ham and pork shoulders. It was used widely at home and overseas to feed the troops. It was easier to ship than fresh meat, protein packed, and did not need refrigeration. The troops had various names for the canned meat, including the one ham that did not pass its physical. As well, they had many rhymes for Spam, such as the doughboy had his hardtack without the Navy's jam, but armies on their stomachs move, and this one moves on Spam. Because casseroles were very popular during the war years, Helen is sharing 2 modern casserole dishes, an Oriental casserole recipe and a beef nacho casserole recipe is found in the paper this week. NDP leader Wab Kinew calls for action in health and education. The Riviera care homes have been in the news a lot over the past few months, especially in relation to the large numbers of COVID-19 deaths at some of the Riviera homes in Winnipeg. Riviera is a care home company that operates 11 care homes in Winnipeg and many more across Canada, the United States, and the United Kingdom. In response to the deaths at some Riviera Winnipeg homes, NDP leader Wab Kinew has called for more intervention from the government. In an interview with the Neepawa Banner and Press, Kinew was asked how government might take over the care homes when in fact they are owned by the federal Crown Corporation that operates the public service pension. Kinew said, well, the federal government should be doing more in that case, and as the province administers health, they should throw everything they have at the problem. Kinew suggested if that intervention doesn't stop the care home deaths, then the military should be called in. They have doctors and equipment and have been of help in other jurisdictions. Kinew said something has to be done, as he feels that some of the care home deaths have resulted from neglect. In some cases, he said, people went without basic care, such as water and food. Canoe has also been calling for the government to bring in 400 more teachers so that school class sizes could be reduced. Smaller class sizes may make for less COVID-19 transmission in schools. If the government went to the substitute teachers list, perhaps they could offer full-time positions to a number of these people. A day here and there may not be enough incentive to go to work in those tough times, but a full-time position might make the difference. I think the teachers are out there. Canoe explained, I want to see the kids in school. It's a better education environment. Distance education may not work because of poor internet service, and some students don't learn as well in that environment, so I want the kids in school, he said. WMCI's Boots for Warriors remembers local soldiers. 80 pair of boots for 80 fallen service people from Gladstone were set out on the William Morton Collegiate Institute, or WMCI, grounds during the week of Remembrance Day. The 80 individuals died in World War I, World War II, and the Korean War. Most of them were soldiers, while one was a nursing sister in World War I. In each pair of boots, they placed a cross with the name of one of the individuals who died. The display was up from Tuesday, November the 10th to the 13th. Cameron Watson, social studies and history teacher at WMCI, was the main organizer of the memorial, which requested students to bring in boots for the display. It was such a fantastic project that he organized. He should be so proud. He brought something so unique and so meaningful to not only our school but our community, expressed WMCI English teacher and career counselor Nancy Smith. Watson noted that their target was 80 pairs for the 80 service people, and that was reached. One staff member, Mrs. Ewan, helped a lot with the collection of the boots, Watson noted. He added that quite a few of the boots came from the Treasure Chest thrift store in Gladstone. Watson's idea for Boots for Warriors was inspired by a similar campaign that took place at the Juno Beach Center in Normandy, France. He explained that they did a great project called Boots for Vimy, with a pair of boots displayed for every soldier who died fighting on Vimy Ridge. I thought it was a neat idea, Watson noted, because gathering restrictions wouldn't allow for a school assembly. He wanted to do something to get the message across. Let us not forget. In the community, it was well received for sure. He noted that he saw several residents stop by, and some people from farther out who had a family member named among the 80 came to see and remember. There were a couple of days where I would be teaching, and I looked out the window to see community members walking amongst the boots. It was very touching. The visual display made it more real for the students as well, who normally might just see a list of names, which doesn't necessarily have as much meaning. Watson, in 2020, losing one young person would be a tragedy, he noted, explaining how devastating it would have been to the community during the wars when they got word of their young people killed in action. While the boots represented those who died, the display also dedicated to the living Gladstone area veterans. We hope they liked our memorial because it was made for them, said Watson. They were still remembered. Well, this year's Remembrance Day ceremony in Gladstone was much more low-key than had been seen in previous years. Those who serve and have served with distinction were still honored. Due to the provincial restrictions in place associated with COVID-19, there were no parades, marching bands, or large groups of spectators allowed at the ceremony. Despite those restrictions, the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 110 in Gladstone was able to find another way to honor military veterans to the fullest. Instead of the standard ceremony, a musical tribute in remembrance was organized. A melody of songs was played at a socially distanced and capacity restricted event held at the Cenotaph in the morning. The music continued to play throughout the day, with people encouraged to come by at any point during the day to place a poppy in an act of remembrance. World War II veteran and former Gladstone Legion chaplain James Lobban attended the ceremony, remaining socially distanced as was required under the current guidelines. The 101-year-old Gladstone native told the Banner and Press that even though the event was much different this year, the significance behind it remained the same. He said, "This still means a lot to me, to see people taking part like this. Gladstone has always been so respectful to those who have served and got behind this important event." A Remembrance Day like no other in Banner and Press region. Due to COVID-19 concerns and the current health and safety measures in place to help flatten the curve, Remembrance Day was rather different in the region this year. Any areas that moved forward with holding a service on November the 11th proceeded with a scaled-down format of the celebrations. This involved making changes such as pre-placing wreaths prior to the ceremony and only laying one during the service. In this picture, the Neepawa cenotaph as it appeared following the town's Remembrance Day service, and this one on the right with flags in place. One wreath was laid by the Plymouth Legion at the town's memorial site. The site was also decorated by painted rocks depicting poppies on each one, made by local students. No options left. Gloria's Christmas Wish Sale cancelled after Code Red announced. The Gloria's Christmas Wish Sale has now been cancelled. This decision was made following the province's move to Code Red COVID-19 status, which became effective on November the 12th. The sale had previously been scheduled to move forward starting November 28th with some adjustments. These adjustments included measures such as increasing the number of days for the event, rotating vendors, moving the event from the Yellowhead Hall to Arts Forward, and using scheduled shopper attendance. With the COVID Red in place, the event is no longer viable. "We were sorry to have to cancel the craft sale," said Rain Pryor, Director of Programming at Arts Forward. "But things just reached the point where there were no options left to have it in person. Under the current restrictions, Arts Forward is unable to remain open to the general public. Discussions with the vendors who have signed on to the Glorious Christmas Wish Sale are currently taking place to discuss viable alternatives of some capacity. All readers are encouraged to watch for potential updates via Arts Forward's social media." Pryor told the Banner and Press that the best way to support Arts Forward during these times is to come back to the gallery once it's open again. She said, "Come see the art, participate in our classes. That's the best thing you can do for a facility like this, participating in what we have to offer. However, those who wish to support Arts Forward financially in the meantime are welcome to inquire about the gallery's patron program. This program supports a variety of items the center can offer, including Kids Club at Home activities. The Kids Club at Home allows kids to participate in crafts, which they would normally be invited to do at Arts Forward from home." Here and There by Gladwin Scott. Congratulations to the Art Seer Play Program Fund Committee of Leah Brandt, Krista Strain, and Melanie Lavich, and their 15 volunteers who served almost 300 roast beef suppers Saturday, November the 7th. Delicious meals were pre-ordered and served via a well-organized drive-through from the community hall. The committee wants to thank the community and the donors for their generosity to this worthy cause. Some of the organizers worked from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. on November 7th at the community hall. In conjunction with Manitoba 150, Curl Manitoba is holding a competition to rank its top 150 curling rinks. Currently, skip Braden Calvert's 2015 World Junior Champions are ranked 6th in the voting. That rink won back-to-back Canadian championships in 2014 and 15, plus the world title in Tallinn, Estonia. The UCT number 448 Junior Super League opened for another season at the Brandon Curling Club Sunday, November 8th with 9 rinks down from the normal dozen. They curled 2 games each Sunday at 10 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. Carberry is well represented in the league as a group of grade 10 girls are back for another season. Dahlia Snaith, Neepawa Witherspoon, Mallory Lockhart, and McKenna Poitras, and Cheryl Snaith as manager, and Kevin Snaith and Bart Witherspoon as coaches. New president of the Association of Manitoba Municipalities is Cam Blight, Reeve of the RM of Portage la Prairie, who was unanimously elected and will take office November 24th. He succeeds Ralph Groening, Reeve of the RM of Morris, who served as vice president for 7 years and 1 term as president. Groening was a former farmer and a top-notch basketball player with Tiny Low Farm High School when they won the provincial crowns in 64 and 65. A smooth transition of leadership is planned after a Zoom annual meeting on November the 23rd. In the United States, the opposite is occurring as the president is refusing to acknowledge that he lost the Electoral College and the popular vote by more than 5.4 million votes. This should not be a complete surprise, as this was forecast after 4 years of leadership from a narcissist, despicable person who was a fraudulent liar. The newly elected president and vice president desire a peaceful transfer of power. The president still does not acknowledge that the coronavirus has caused 240,000 deaths and inflicts 120,000 new daily cases daily in the USA. Taylor Orchard, a very busy university student, by Gladwin Scott. Taylor Orchard, age 21, who was a 2017 Carberry Collegiate graduate with several awards, continues to excel in her 4th year as a Bachelor of Science program at the University of Manitoba. She also is a very talented dance teacher who instructs tap, jazz, ballet, creative, and lyrical options to 46 students on Friday afternoons and Saturday mornings each week. Her assistant instructor, Emma Saley, age 15, is a program graduate and is also a talented dancer and leader. Amy Urquhart, Carberry Plains Arts Council administrator who organizes the popular dance classes, stated that Taylor is a very special person with skills to communicate, identify needs, love of her community, and a gifted teacher. She is a pleasure to work with. A Christmas presentation was successful last year, but the spring performance was canceled due to the pandemic. Taylor started her dance journey at 3 years of age with the Carberry Arts program and progressed to the Step in Time classes in Brandon, where she was greatly influenced by several fine instructors. In a phone interview from the U of M, Orchard stated that she appreciated very much her Carberry Collegiate teachers and their courses. Recently, she was the recipient of a Student Leadership Award on her recommendation of her anatomy professors. She has been a successful dance instructor in Carberry for 7 years and will graduate with a 5-year science degree majoring in biological sciences and psychology. Her future plans have changed as she wants to continue her studies for a PhD and teach at the U of M. Currently, Taylor is an anatomy laboratory assistant/instructor, student, and dance teacher. Local pharmacies implementing COVID-19 precautions. As an essential service, pharmacies will be operating no matter what level of pandemic response parts of Manitoba are in. Now that the whole province is in red, the pharmacies in Neepawa are reminding people of ways they can keep themselves and other customers safe. Since the pandemic started, pharmacies have been encouraging customers to call in their prescriptions beforehand so that they don't have to wait in the store while their prescription is being filled. We have had a small increase of ins, stated Nelson Jackson, pharmacist and owner of Neepawa Pharmacy. People understand it's for their safety. He added that there are still people coming in with their empty pill bottles, which they are asked not to do, but stated that it could be that they just haven't heard the pharmacy's recommendations yet. At Harris Pharmacy, owner and pharmacist Heather Toderick noted that they've seen quite an increase in call-ins and doctors faxing over prescriptions. People are certainly trying, she expressed. The pharmacies have always offered delivery. However, they are encouraging those who are more vulnerable to take advantage of the option. As well, it has become very useful for those who are self-isolating to get their much-needed medications. People who are in self-isolation, we bring stuff to their door and ring the doorbell, Jacobsen said. Toderick added, we've had quite a few more deliveries. She noted that they haven't had very many deliveries where they've had to avoid contact completely with someone in isolation, but they have had quite an uptick in regular deliveries to people who are following public health's recommendations to stay home. As with all businesses currently open, masks are required to enter the pharmacies. Jacobsen said that they have had to stop some people from entering without one. He noted that there have been some customers who request to have their prescription brought out to the curb for them, while there are others who decide they don't want to shop there, even though Neepawa Pharmacy has masks available for free for anyone who doesn't have one on hand. Toderick said that they haven't had much trouble with masks, but now their capacity has been restricted with Code Red. They have had to lock their doors and have people wait outside when they reach about 12 customers. That's another reason she cited that people should phone in their prescriptions, as they want people to get in and out as quickly as possible so others can come in to get their necessities as well. Both pharmacists agreed that their customers for the most part are doing whatever they can to help everyone stay safe, and they understand that these restrictions are meant to protect both themselves and the pharmacy staff. Barron combines studies and skating. Jensen Barron is a very busy lady. Not only is she a full-time Brandon University student, Jensen is on the skating ice every evening but one. She teaches figure skating, power skating, and hand skate, but also spends one evening with the Wheat City Connection synchro team directed by Tammy McKay. 10 of the 20 members attend each practice. Jensen started skating at 4 years of age to become a hockey player like her father, Randy. After 5 years of minor hockey, she switched to figure skating and never looked back. She graduated in 2017 from Carberry Collegiate and as a co-recipient of the Female Athlete of the Year, plus the CC Medal and the $2,500 scholarship. A talented runner and hurdler, Jensen spent 3 years with the Prairie Storm Track and Field Club and Bryce Caselny, who she describes as a fantastic coach. Due to her track aspirations, she transferred to the University of Saskatchewan at Saskatoon to study for a Bachelor of Science and continue her hurdling and running. After 2 great years in Saskatchewan, Jensen had some health issues with her shins, which cut her track career short. Another sport which she loved was fastball, as she excelled as the catcher, shortstop, and outfield positions with the Carberry Cougars, and one summer with Central Energy. During her skating career, she qualified for her teaching certificate and a trip to the Synchro Nationals in Calgary with Carberry Energize. Barron plans to obtain degrees in science and education before entering the teaching field. The Kin Club and Hand plan holiday cheer. Neepawa and area residents have the chance to make the holiday special for a local senior this year. Home Assistance Neepawa and District, or HAND, and Neepawa Kin Club have partnered to put on a project called Hugs for the Holidays, Seniors Edition. The Kin Club and HAND are currently asking for nominations of seniors who could use a pick-me-up this holiday season. The nominators are asked to also supply a gift suggestion with their nomination, with some basic information to help someone pick a gift the senior would love. The senior doesn't have to be low income. This is just about mental health, explained Kin Club member Amanda Nightingale, adding that with many seniors already feeling isolated from the pandemic, this project is just about making a senior feel special after this difficult year. We have had this project on the go or in the thought process for about a month now, she noted. She explained the hand received a grant from the Beautiful Plains Community Foundation through the Emergency Community Support Fund, which kick-started the idea, allowing them to purchase some goodies that will go along with the gifts purchased by community members. Once they have collected nominations, Nightingale explained that Hand and the Kin Club will put the gift request with mittens, which will put out in several local businesses. People who want to purchase a gift for a senior can pick a mitten, buy the listed gift, and drop it off at the Hand office. The mittens will not have the name on the recipient included, so the nominated seniors will remain anonymous. Nightingale noted that the gifts can be unwrapped when they're dropped off, but the gift buyer should make sure they keep the mitten with the gift, as that will be what identifies who it's for. During the week of Christmas, the Kin Club and Hand will be delivering the gifts in a COVID-safe manner. To nominate a senior, people can fill out an online form, the link for which can be found on the Neepawa Kin Club Facebook page. Alternatively, people can message the Neepawa Kin Club Facebook page or call Hand at 204-476-2009. Reflecting on those prairie days. These are just a couple of samples of the work Helene Blanchet has on display at Arts Forward for her exhibit called Prairie Days. An online walkthrough of the exhibit is planned for the future. The first picture here is called Springtime in the Grasslands. Blanchet particularly loves the southern Saskatchewan and the Grasslands National Parks areas. She gets a sense of deep equilibrium there, the winds, the smells, and the colors, filling visitors with a profound sense of peace. And the one on the right, some of the details can be seen close up in Blanchet's The Hiker, it's called. Helene Blanchet is a textile folk artist specializing in colorful handmade story quilts. Her unique award-winning quilts have been exhibited both nationally and internationally. Her love of traditional textiles has brought her to study surface design and composition under several well-known quilt artists, such as Kate Pasquini, Mazopu, and Pamela Allen, and abstraction. Blanchet moved to a cabin on Cape Breton Island in 2019, providing a period of quiet reflection for her to hone her storytelling skills. She then moved to Western Canada in 2011 and at age 50 became a professional gardener. It was in Calgary that she made her first cityscapes, which began to document her stay in her first series of quilts called Calgary Days. Blanchet's love of the prairies encouraged her to explore Western Canada further, with a yearly pilgrimage to rural Western Canada ever since. Prairie Days, the exhibit currently on display at Arts Forward, is a continuation of her first series. The exhibit tells the story of an artist's experience of living out west in a selection of charming folk art quilts. The quilts depict everyday scenes and activities the artist experienced during her 3-year move to Calgary. People, the sights, colors are all captured in her signature style. It is sure to delight old and young alike, and anyone who has ever had to leave home in search of work. Prairie Days will be on display at Arts Forward until the end of November. However, due to Code Red COVID-19 restrictions, the building is currently closed to the general public. All those wishing to see the full exhibit are asked to watch for a digital walkthrough via Arts Forward's social media. Palliative care memory bulb donation suspended. A fundraiser dating back over 20 years has been put on hold this year due to COVID-19. Neepawa District Palliative Care's annual memory bulb fundraiser, in which people pay to light up a bulb in memory of a loved one, will not be taking place, as many of the businesses which usually accept donations for the fundraiser have to be closed during code red restrictions. Mary Ellen Clark, coordinator for Neepawa District Palliative Care, noted that the tree itself will still be up and decorated on Mountain Avenue in front of Harris Pharmacy. They just won't be taking donations specifically for the bulbs. We feel it's only right to respect the restrictions, explained Clark, stating that they realize some of the businesses that are still able to open, don't necessarily want to be handling cash very much, while others can't allow customers inside. We'll still gladly take donations, added Board Chair Judy Gabler. She explained that palliative care is still operating with all restrictions and health orders in mind. They still have volunteers visiting homes when needed, and they are still keeping their palliative care rooms in the health center stocked up. Clark noted that while they may not be pursuing the memory bulb fundraiser this year, they are very thankful to all who have contributed to the campaign in past years, including the town of Neepawa, which supplies with them and decorates their memory tree annually. She added that palliative care continues to have support year-round, and this year has been no exception. Donations continue to flow through. People have been generous and continuing to support us, Clark stated, expressing her thanks on behalf of palliative care for the community's consistent support. Donations can be mailed to Neepawa District Palliative Care, Box 1240, Neepawa, Manitoba, ROJ 1HO. Charitable receipts will still be issued for anyone wanting to make a donation as well. November is Fall Prevention Month in Canada. With ice and snow on the scene in November, it's an important month to be reminded about the dangers of falling. Fall Prevention Month in Canada aims to educate people on how to reduce their risk of falling and what to do if a fall occurs. According to the Government of Canada, falls were the #1 cause of injury among older adults in 2015, with 20 to 30% of seniors experiencing at least one fall in a year. Jeannie Barnaby, coordinator for Home Assistant Neepawa and District, or HAND, noted that they often try to have some informational sessions for seniors on how to prevent falls. However, with current health orders in Manitoba, gatherings of any kind are prohibited. HAND also planned to do some evening exercise sessions in a couple of the senior living buildings in Neepawa, but those had to be cancelled as well. HAND does, however, have several informational resources available on how to prevent falls. They are also planning to develop a video with the help of a Steppin' Up exercise leader in Minnedosa and NACTV that will demonstrate easy exercises people can do at home. Barnaby noted that they hope to have that program running by mid-December or early January. According to Phillips Lifeline, fitness is one of the biggest ways to prevent falls among seniors. HAND has a number of informational resources from Lifeline which share a variety of ways for seniors to stay safe. These resources include several easy exercises, both from a seated position and a standing position. Some exercises that can be done while seated include neck stretches, tilting your head sideways for 10 seconds on each side, arm raises, alternating lifting each knee to your chest, among many others. Detailed instructions and diagrams of these exercises can be found in the Lifeline Fitness pamphlet available at HAND. Being aware of hazards within one's environment is another way to reduce the risk of falling. HAND has several pamphlets available that list ways to adjust the environment and how to make it easier to stay safe. Some ways to minimize fall risk outdoors include painting edges and obstacles to make them more visible, using a mixture of sand and paint on outside stairs for better traction, and make sure snow and ice is clear from walkways. And for inside, it's important to remove clutter such as phone and electrical cords from walking paths, rugs and other flooring that might catch a toe or slip underfoot should be glued down or attached with non-slip backing. Make sure the home is well lit. In the washroom, non-slip mats, grab bars, and shower benches can also be of help. Lifeline also recommends checking with doctors about any drugs that may cause dizziness, testing hearing and eyesight, using a cane or walker if needed, and wearing non-slip shoes or slippers. If a fall does occur, there is a right way to get up from it. Firstly, if you have fallen and can tell you're injured or are in severe pain, do not get up or let anyone help you up. Call for help and don't move until the paramedics arrive. If the fall is less severe, and the sooner you move, the better. If you don't get up, there is a risk of swelling, pressure ulcers, dehydration, breathing problems, and more. To safely get up after a fall, roll onto your side and look around for something sturdy to hold on to, such as a chair or staircase. Once you have found the closest object, roll onto your stomach and push yourself up, then crawl towards it. Place your hands on the seat of the chair, bottom stair, or other furniture, and bring one foot flat on the floor underneath you, kneeling with the other leg. From the kneeling position, slowly rise while steadying yourself on the floor and turn your body to sit on it. Lifeline recommends you stay seated for a while before trying to stand up. Being afraid of a fall makes falling even more likely, so control what you can by staying fit and adapting your home to reduce the fear and the risk of falling. Anyone who would like more details can contact Jeannie Barnaby at hand 204-476-2009, and she can arrange to have informational materials dropped off. Pause in play as Neepawa MJHL adjusting on the fly. Even though there hasn't been a single game played since Saturday, November the 7th, the past 2 weeks might have been the most hectic in the Manitoba Junior Hockey League, or MJHL, history. On November the 12th, the entire province moved into the critical level of red of the pandemic response system in an effort to stop the spread of COVID-19. As a result, all MJHL on-ice activities, including games and practices, have been paused. Over the course of the pause in play, there has been a lot of work going on over the phones between the 12-member franchises and the league office, preparing for an eventual return. As a part of that work, a tentative January 1st, 2021 date has been set to restart the schedule. MJHL Commissioner Kevin Surrett said via media release that the league is working diligently with Hockey Canada, Sport Manitoba, and Hockey Manitoba to allow for a safe return to play. He has also stated that the league appreciates all the support and understanding it has received from its fans, sponsors, and hockey community. The Neepawa Junior A Hockey Club's last game was on Saturday, November 7th. Since then, the players were notified of the decision from the province and allowed to return home. Head coach and general manager Ken Pearson said it was just the right thing to do under the circumstances. It was the right move with the province being shut down. Even if everyone moves back into Code Orange protocols as quickly as possible, it wouldn't be fair to the players to have their stop and play and then immediately expect them to play. Best to take a step back, let everyone go home, and hopefully be able to welcome everyone back for the new year. Neepawa Board President Ken Waddell added that while everyone is sad to see the season get postponed, everyone still supports the MJ's decision. The Neepawa Natives Junior A hockey team is very disappointed that games have had to be paused. to at least January. The players and staff are all very disappointed as well, but the decision is the right one for the sake of player and public safety, and hopefully we can be back soon to playing hockey and all the other things we like to do as a community. The players have been released to go home or to go to their jobs in the community, and we all just hope that things will return to a somewhat normal situation soon, Waddell said. The pause in play will force an alteration to the previous schedule, and an announcement on the changes is expected to be made public in the coming weeks. The Rotary auction has a report. Due to COVID-19 restrictions and distancing requirements, the Neepawa Rotary Club has had to move their annual TV auction to an online format. The auction this year will occur from December the 3rd to the December 10th. 3 local Rotarians, Lyle Watson, Ivan Trail, and Dave Bennett, have found a way that NACTV will still play a part in promoting the event. On Wednesday, November 25th at 8 p.m., immediately after the weekly NACTV Bingo, the first edition of this new show will occur as a live 30-minute program. Then, beginning on December 2nd, and for every evening during the week of the auction, there will be another edition of the program. Lyle Watson, a volunteer who is seen regularly as an NACTV interviewer, will host the program. Watson explained the purpose of the program is to promote the auction and explain the differences with the online format. As well, many of the auction items will be highlighted. We plan to have a different guest Rotarian each night to help promote the auction items and highlight Rotary in our community and beyond, added Watson. The bidding for items will be online. However, we encourage the viewers, bidders, and supporters to tune in to the program for information, advice, and some fun. There will be a way for supporters who are not able to bid online to submit a one-time proxy bid. On December 7th and December 3rd, between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., you can phone Ivan at 204-476-5165. The last 2 nights, December 9th and 10th, beginning at 8 p.m., will be longer shows in order to announce the winners or high bidders of each item. That gives us another way to publicly thank the donors and bidders for their support, and said Auction Promotions Chair Dave Bennett. To have the donor support we received this year has been very rewarding. There are over 160 items up for sale. Because of many events being cancelled in 2020 and thus a lack of current new programming, NACTV is pleased to support this endeavor in this way. Exact broadcast dates and times of this show can be found in the NACTV schedule published each week in the Neepawa Banner and Press. This schedule is also online at www.nactv.tv. NACTV broadcasts on MTS 30 and 1030, WCG 12 and Bell 592. As well, NACTV live streams its programming 24 hours a day on www.nactv.tv. And one last item to put forward today is a new store opening in Neepawa. Prairie Trichomes, Neepawa's new recreational cannabis store, officially opened its doors on Monday, November the 9th, and held a grand opening on Saturday, November 14th. Due to Code Red restrictions, the store has a limit of 5 customers at a time, but they also offer curbside pickup and delivery. All their products and information on the business can be found on their website, prairietrichomes.com, as well as in store. Prairie Trichomes employs 7 staff members who are trained to be able to answer any questions a customer might have. And that is it for this week's edition of Neepawa Banner and Press. We'll see you next week.